Thank you everybody for joining in. This is the Law Talk Radio and LT Studios. It's just going to be a quick all 22 version film or all film 22 version of the Dallas Cowboys versus the Ravens. They're in point formation now. As we can see, this is the full clip, full view of everything of what transpired last week. Of course, this week here is going to be against the Washington Redskins. I hope I can have that game uploaded. But as you look at the all 22 film here, shout out to Isaac, shout out to Joshua too as well, and Patel. Shout out to you guys for joining in to the chat room as well. Look, this team here is remarkable. They fight to the ball, as we can see. Sure tackler. This game, it was a collective game of our defense. Although we missing a lot of parts altogether collectively, we were still able to get the game going in the right direction. Hey, just for purposes, are you guys able to hear me clearly? Let me know if you are able to hear me clearly before I just start to go on and on, or what's going on. Appreciate it, fam. Crystal clear. That's good. Pushed them out of bounds. It's a good play there. So down and out, 1 and 1st and 10. Anybody know what formation this is? I'm gonna test y'all brain. Y'all know what formation this is? Only on your left ear. All right. So undoubtedly, I got to do some adjustment on the sound. Appreciate it. Trying to get my audio together, man. I appreciate you guys for your patience. You continue to watch the all 22 version of this particular film. All right. Yeah, Joshua. Let me know if now. Do you hear the background music on both ears, or you only hear me on one ear? Or if anybody else having this type of issue, it's probably mono. Yeah, I'm trying to find the settings to switch it over to stereo versus the mono. I know that can be annoying. All right, so you don't hear no background music. Let me see if how about now? Do you guys hear any background music? I appreciate you guys helping me beta test this out. I'm just beta testing. All right, guys. I'm gonna be leaving back and forward. I'm just gonna leave the video running for everyone. I got a 8-week old baby at the house, so you guys know how that go, right? And I'm trying to be daddy of the year, so I'm just gonna leave this playing in the background for you guys to watch. This is just a beta test, so if you guys love what you see, just give me a thumbs up and let it ride. It's an all 22 film, so you get to see every single play. I should have the rights to this film, so it shouldn't be hit for copyright. So just let me know if you guys are able to watch all of the film and everything. I appreciate all you guys. You just don't know how much I appreciate you guys. Shout out to all of the new followers too as well, and those who been with me from day one. Just so many other things that's on my mind right now. What I got to do to help everyone out as far as the Dallas Cowboys. This next game, we just can't sleep on the Redskins. We got to be able to play physical. We got to play tough. We got to hit them in the mouth. They talking a lot of noise. Oh, the Redskin fans talking a lot of noise, especially as it relates to that R. Kelly guy. I'm just ready, man, for tomorrow. I'm cooking a nice spread tonight. I'm already have my food cooked, so by the time the Cowboys play, it's just going to be me eating, the family eating, and enjoying the football game. I hope you guys do the same. Hey, we're going to get this ball rolling in the right direction. Go Cowboys.
What happened, man? We were looking for you at 4:15 for your normal time, and you ditched us, man. What happened?
I don't know. I feel like you guys ditched me for the hot shot Romo. You guys just kind of ditched my time. I thought we had something special going at 4:15, but I see how it is now.
Hey,
see how it is.
Don't worry about it. Breakup interviews are the best. I mean, they're so good. The makeup after the breakup is so good. You're going to love these next 10 minutes.
I'm uncomfortable.
Okay, so where were you when Tony Romo was giving his speech?
I was in the car and actually able to catch most of the speech.
So tell us your thoughts.
I think it took incredible strength from that guy to go up there and just kind of clear the air and admit that Dak has a special thing going with the team. That guy's a competitor. You know he wants to be out there. You know he wants to play. But just to hear him talk about how he's going to help Dak and not be an obstacle, but be there for the team, it's just that takes incredible strength from that guy.
You know, I almost, as a Cowboy fan, and we work in this business, but we're both huge Cowboy fans, Ben and I, because we grew up here. It almost made me feel even better about the team. And I already feel really great about the team, but for a guy that's that competitive to witness what's going on and say the things he said, I don't know. I think this has the feeling of a special season. I know this is only your second year in the NFL. It's like you have all these great reference points for this, but I would imagine you guys are feeling like a Super Bowl is possible for this team. Is that the way you feel?
We just feel extremely confident in any situation that we're put in. I mean, you think about some of the comeback wins that we've had this year. So when it was 42 seconds and we had 3 timeouts left, and we needed to go down the field to get in field goal position, everyone was confident that was going to be the end goal, and that we were going to achieve that. And even better, we got a touchdown. So just the confidence on the team is extremely high. But this is the tough part about football, is continue that week in and week out, especially towards the end of the year.
Well, because we're friends and we do this weekly segment, and today, there's been a day of speeches. Would you like to give any speeches about, what to do when it's time to pick up a fumble on the field?
So this is what you need to do, and I really hope you guys are listening very carefully, because this is big-time stuff now. You see a ball. It is beautiful on that grass. You're going to get excited. It's going to happen. It's natural. But you have to rely on your technique. You have to come with two hands, keep your eye on the ball, and scoop it, and then you run. Don't run and then scoop. Scoop and then run. That is all, my friends.
Well done.
Really good speech.
Yeah.
Man, so we asked you, I think it was the last time we talked to you, we asked you about the idea of practicing creating turnovers. Now, that was a situation where one was already created, but what was going on in your mind as that ball just elusively flew out of bounds?
I mean, it flew out. It was beautiful. It was like $1 million on the floor. You see it. Obviously, I get excited. That's something we practice. Honestly, that's one of the things we practice every day along with catching the ball. Before we do our individuals, we do a fumble recovery drill, and we work on bending our knees and scooping the ball and securing it. So to not come up with that one was extremely disappointing, not for me, but just for everybody involved. I mean, the defense made an amazing play on 3rd and 1, I believe, to get the ball out in the first place, and it would have been a great play, if we were able to recover that, if I was able to recover that fumble. So very disappointed from my part.
Have you guys had a chance to watch that play with the full team yet and to get hazed by your team?
We watched the entire game. Well, as a team, we watched most of the plays that could have helped the team or plays that hurt the team. But as a defense, we all watched, the entire game, so we've all seen it.
So what walk us through the replaying of it and what that was like?
It was just, we've already seen it in the team meeting, which is before the defensive meeting. So when it came up and guys were hitting me on the back of the head and saying stuff like, where's your hands? Just the good old stuff.
That's awesome.
Is it kind of like watching the worst scene in one of your favorite movies and it's coming up and you just got to sit through it and something violent's going to happen?
Yeah, I guess if you want to compare it to that, but no, it's just embarrassing, really.
All right, we're talking to Byron Jones. We do it every week here on the Ben and Skin Show, 105.3 The Fan. It's so weird the way the NFL works out schedule-wise. So many guys on the team have never even played in Pittsburgh. And you guys go up there and get a win. When you play in a historic place against a historic franchise and something like that happens, do you kind of feel, I don't know, the history of that field, or is that, I don't know, the reverence of playing in a place like that? Do you feel that in the game and after the game?
To be honest, absolutely not. You're just playing ball. It's an opponent. You got to get a win. You go in there, you take the win, and you leave. For us, that's always our goal. That's always our mission. It doesn't really matter where we play, or if it's a brand new stadium, or if it's a stadium that's been up for 50 to 100 years. But it's just nice to get a win against a quality opponent on the road. I think that's the most important part.
Hey, did you get a chance to see? I think we've talked to you about this. Do you watch a ton of NFL? I can't remember. You said you did or don't.
Nah, growing up, I didn't watch any ball. But I watch ball now.
You do? Okay. So did you see the way the Denver-New Orleans game ended? The blocked extra point.
No, I did not see that, but I heard about it.
Yeah, they ran a play where a guy runs and jumps over the center and then is able to block an extra point.
Oh, that's what happened?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm sitting here when I was tweeting that you were going to come on the show. I did a GIF search of you, and and it shows you doing your jump at the combine. That was exceptional. And people started going, "Hey, oh my God, I forgot about that. Why isn't he on special teams blocking kicks? Have you ever been that guy to just jump over the center?"
Well, actually, we tried it last year, and I failed miserably. I actually flipped over the center. I think I got a penalty, too. I'm not sure.
I remember.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it didn't work out. It didn't work out great. And here's one thing. You could do that, but at the end of the day, we take, as a defense, we take extreme amount of pride in the way we rush those field goal kicks, whether it's a PAT or if it's a long field goal. You see those guys are rushing, they're trying to get through the line. And we feel confident that we don't need to do that to get a block. We feel confident that we can, use the big guys up front and get pushed and put our hands up and block a ball, or at least make a kicker miss.
Talking to Byron Jones here on the Ben and Skin Show, 105.3 The Fan. Now, one of the things that we really enjoy talking to you about is you're expanding your culinary arts. So what have you tried to cook in the last week or so since we've talked to you?
Absolutely nothing. I think I'm abandoning ship.
No! Whoa! What
Just
happened?
You don't understand how hard it is to cook a good meal within a reasonable amount of time. I'm not sitting there an hour preparing the food and cooking it. It just takes too long. So I'm gonna have to. I'm navigating a different route right now. I'm sorry.
Oh no!
Well, wait, what is this new route you're talking about?
Are you talking about a new hobby?
No. I just want to eat fast, so right now I'm using a chef through the organization, the Cowboys, where they just kind of drop off some pre-made food for you, and you take it home and you warm it up, and then voila. But it's good, healthy stuff. So
yeah, no, that's good because it seems like it'd be, for a single guy. I mean, we know this. Skin and I have known each other for a long time. There was a time where you couldn't even get in Skin's car because of all the Taco Bell bags.
Yeah.
Oh, damn, Skin.
But that's gonna be a good drop. But so it's easy to do that. You're a single guy and you're out there on the move, and so that's great. They drop off meals. Do you have to pay for that, or is that just something that they do for you?
Oh no, you got to pay for it. You got to pay up. You got to come out them pockets.
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
Is it expensive?
How can you afford that?
Now, I don't know. So this has been week 3, and they have yet to give me the bill, so I'm kind of scared.
Oh no!
We'll see how the bill looks like. I
think when the bill comes, you won't be able to find your wallet, man. That thing's constantly missing. What?
It'll be like a loose ball on the football field. You won't be able to get your hands around it.
Geez, here we go. This is nonsense.
Have you lost anything recently that you'd like to fess up about just to get a clear conscience?
Let me think. No, I haven't.
All right,
I take pride in that. I have not lost anything in the past 3 hours, 2 days, whatever.
You know what I'm seeing here, Ben, is amazing growth.
Yes.
I'm seeing amazing growth in this young man. To
No
not
doubt.
have lost anything since Tony's speech is unbelievable.
Okay, so obviously you're a talented guy. You can play safety. You can play corner. You guys have been getting banged up with a lot of injuries. Is there any chance you start going back and playing corner again some just to help out with the injuries?
I think we're pretty deep at that position, I'd say. You got Anthony Brown-Larocque, who's been playing extremely well. We got a new addition to our team, Leon, who's been playing well as well. So I think we're covered at the corner position until, you never know. I'm always going to be prepared. So if that issue ever comes up, I'll be ready.
Well, Byron, we really look forward to talking to you every week, man. You're a great interview. Keep the good mojo going, and we'll talk to you next week, brother.
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, I heard it was Ben's birthday the other day.
Yesterday.
Now, I'm not going to say happy birthday, but there was a poll going. I was talking to Travis, and I was like, okay, well, how old do you think he is?
Oh, really?
He said you were like 47. I'm like, there's no way he's 47.
Come on, dude. You believe that? I want let's hear you guess how old I am.
I'm guessing, and I'm not trying to hurt your feelings here.
No, that's
I'm gonna
fine.
be honest.
Fine.
I think you are approximately 41.
You thought that would hurt my feelings? I like that. I'll take it.
Man, Ben's never been so happy.
I'll take it. No, it's 46.
Damn, you're 46?
Okay, now that hurt his feelings. Your very honest reaction to learning how old Ben is hurt his feelings.
Where do you think you'll be? Describe what you'll be doing when you're 46. Like what type of activities you'll be doing.
So I envision myself on a canoe with a fishing pole.
Oh.
With a hat that's backwards, catching some bass. That's what I see in my life.
Now, will you have? Will you be bald and will you have a gut?
Let's see on that. I didn't think because my dad have a gut. No, he's pretty built, so I think I'll maintain my great figure.
Yeah. All right.
Got those good
the hair's
genes.
gonna be gone. My dad's bald. I'll be bald. It's unfortunate. It's whatever. That's why I'm wearing a hat. So we're all right.
You don't picture yourself in a hot tub with your soulmate just lapping it up?
That's also a possibility too. I like that one.
Laughing. I picture like a dog drinking hot tub water. That was really weird. All right, Byron, take care, brother.
All right, guys.
There
Bye.
he goes.
See you, man.
Show. How you doing, Byron?
I'm doing great.
Hey, man, thanks for taking the time to jump on with us. You sound pretty busy. What do you got going on? Are you squeezing all this activity into a short week? What do you got going on today?
I just got done with practice and meetings, so I'm going to head home and lay around pretty much.
Whoa, lay around. Are you
lay
worried?
around.
Is this like you're being lazy or you physically need to recharge in a short week?
Oh, yeah, you just need to recharge, take care of your body, watch some film. It's more of a mental preparation as opposed to a physical preparation.
Okay, so last year was your first ever short week. I'm assuming in college you guys never played a game 5 days apart, right?
No, not at all.
What was that experience? How did you feel how'd you feel Black Friday of last year? I mean, was that the most you've ever felt, playing pro football, the most physical exhaustion you've ever felt?
Oh, yeah, I was pretty beat up at that point. I didn't know how to take care of my body. I probably wasn't eating the best. I wasn't getting my weekly massages. I just didn't know what to expect at the same time. So all of those things really hurt me towards the end. But I feel great now, and I can tell you all the guys in the locker room feel the same way.
So before we look forward to the Redskins, what are your takeaways from the Ravens game?
I think the defense did a good job at readjusting during halftime because the first couple of times they got us. They scored an early touchdown on us, which is something we don't usually give up. But I think the defense did a great job just adjusting and playing our assignments and then making our plays that we needed to make.
Talking to Byron Jones here on the Ben and Skin Show, 105.3 The Fan. What was going into the game? I'm always interested in this, like what you guys think's going to happen versus what actually happened, especially, now that you're 9 games into the season. Did your preparation for the Ravens, did that game go down in terms of your responsibilities? Did it go down exactly like you guys thought, or were there tricks and bells and whistles you didn't anticipate?
Let me think. For the most part, they ran exactly what they showed on film, which is typical of most teams. Most teams have an identity. They have their core concepts, and they kind of stick to it. And they do add some sprinkles here and there, but it's nothing too damaging to our defense.
What was it like to watch Dak from the sideline in the second half basically be perfect, 14 of 15? The
dude's a baller, man. I mean, from day one, he's been coming in, just stepping up, making huge plays for such a young player to do that. You don't see that. That's something that's special he has going on.
There was some video footage of him trying to throw away a cup into the trash as he was drinking water on the sideline. He kind of backhanded it to the trash can behind the bench, missed it, and then got up and went and picked up his own trash and put it back in. Have you seen this video, or do you know about it?
No, I haven't seen this video. Never heard of it, but it sounds like him.
What does that say? What does that say about a guy that'll do that? And would you do that?
I mean, yeah, I'd probably do that. If I missed it, I'd probably be too embarrassed to walk away. You got to put it in the hole.
See, okay. I'm glad you put it like this, because that's what I said yesterday. Everyone was like, this is a role model because he refuses to litter. I'm like, no, when you miss an easy shot, you go get the offensive rebound and put it in. You can't, you can't feel good about yourself missing a chippy. Wait, say that again, Byron?
I said, yeah, you just got to finish. You can't just leave it at that.
Right, absolutely. By the way, what's the worst littering atrocity you've ever committed?
Ooh, am I going to get fined for this?
No. No one's listening. You're good.
I'm trying to think. I don't know.
Have you ever thrown like a full soda out a window doing 95 on the highway?
I hate when people do that. I hate when people do that, so I don't do that myself. No, I don't. I'm not bad like that.
Okay, so we got Thanksgiving coming up. Obviously, you guys have a prior engagement that you'll be taking care of. But just in terms of Thanksgiving for you, what has always been your favorite thing about the Thanksgiving meal?
Ooh, like my favorite food or just my favorite thing?
Well, let's hear both. Let's hear both.
Okay.
I want to hear your favorite food and then your favorite, memories, what you like about it.
I'm going to have to go with collard greens. My mom is great at making a good batch of collard greens. That's my favorite food. The best part is just being around family, just bringing up old memories. The times I used to get beat up by my older brothers. Doesn't happen anymore, luckily. But just the good times, a good camaraderie. Just having family around is special. There's nothing like it.
I can't remember, did you grow up in Connecticut?
Born and raised, baby.
Okay, now collard greens are a real Southern food. So does your mom do Southern cooking, or is that just kind of?
Yeah, well, she's from Maryland. I know that's not the South, but growing up, anytime we took a vacation to Maryland, it was like the deep South to me. It was just the food, the way people talk. So yeah, she's from down there, and her mother taught her how to cook all that good stuff. So she brought it up to Connecticut.
Now, Byron, your brother told us that you shouldn't get a big head, that he can still whip you anytime he wants. Is that inaccurate?
That is completely inaccurate. And secondly, you don't know my brother.
That's actually true, what he just said.
I'm just guessing what he's thinking, though. Right. I don't know him, but I'm thinking figuratively for all brothers that are older.
I follow your brother on Twitter, and he was just tweeting about how often he kicked your ass still to this day.
I don't know if he has it to it. I should actually ask him that.
I'm in Instagram.
When did you turn the corner? When were you able, and how much older than you is he, and when did you get bigger than him?
So I have 3 older brothers. We have 31, think 29 and then 20. I'm 24, so he's 26, and I'm 24.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
the
I mean,
29-year-old was saying he kicked your ass a lot.
Can
Oh,
you
yeah.
can you take them all?
I couldn't take them all. I mean, they're still tough guys. You know, there's going to be a battle. It's going to be fight to the finish. We haven't gone at it in a while, so it's tough to say who would really pull out. But I'm confident in my abilities. I mean, I'm a Cowboy. I have to win that one.
All right, so which one of the four of you would need and actually use brass knuckles in this family brawl?
I'll say Winston because he's the smallest, but he's a Marine, so he's kind of crazy.
Oh, dude, he's going to take you. Come on, a Marine who's going to get dirty with brass. And you're going to try to fence fight him. You're going to pull out a fencing sword.
Plus, he's crazy small guy.
Yeah, crazy
with a chip
small
on
guy.
his shoulder.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's definitely chip. He's edgy.
Oh man, he is going to tear you up
you're
this
gonna,
Thanksgiving.
man, just will you get some quality family time in with them over the holidays then?
Oh, 100%. We'll have fun. We'll have fun.
So just don't make eye contact with him and don't get into an argument with him because we need you the rest of the way because he will whip you.
Exactly. That's a good deal. I can do that. That's
All right,
easy.
do in order, you and then your other three brothers, worst to best in terms of insanity level. Like which one's the craziest? Start with him at number 1 and the least crazy at 4.
All right. Then Aaron's going to have to fall in line after Winston. So that's the another middle child. So the middle childs are kind of weird, and then Nathan's that close to me. So Nathan and I, we're probably sitting at 4th place. You know, he's an electrical engineer. He's a smart one.
Okay.
And I'm the Cowboy. So.
And Winston's the one who you're least likely to trust.
wait, where's this coming from? I feel like you guys are putting words in my mouth.
No.
But yes, he is my least likely one I'm trusting.
Okay. Okay, good. We're talking to Byron Jones here on the Ben and Skin Show, 105.3 The Fan. When you guys, and you experienced this last year with the NFC East, so you guys are playing the Redskins for the second time. What is preparation like for an opponent the second time? How does it differ from the first time?
Well, you kind of, like I said, you know their core concepts and what they want to get done, but you also want to go back and see what are the trends. What type of receivers or does Kirk Cousins likes on third down? Obviously, 86 is a big target. 80s being a big target at this point. So now you gotta know that, and you just add it to your bank pretty much, knowing that on third down that those guys are going to be up. You just add. Obviously, they have new bells and whistles that we have to cover and then make our adjustments, but. Like I said, for the most part, they're just running their core concepts on us.
All right, man. Before we let you go, Thanksgiving is a time of family. You guys seem really tight on this team. There seems to be amazing chemistry. Are you involved in any of these trash can basketball games?
Every once in a while. And I actually played. What was the last person I played? Mark Sanchez, who's surprisingly good at this freaking trash can basketball thing. He got me for $140. So
now why? Why are you surprised that a golden boy NFL quarterback is surprisingly good?
I just didn't think he had it in him. I don't know. He just doesn't. He's so good that it's like surprising. It's not like I wasn't expecting much from him, but he's like really. He's kicking everybody's butt.
So you're thinking he spends way too much time on trash basketballs?
That's the number one. Because when I walk in, he's playing. When I'm leaving, he's playing.
Right.
I'm telling you that he's definitely racking up extra paychecks on that.
But that's what happens when you've got an elite quarterback and you've got a second-string elite quarterback. So all he has to do is play trash can basketball.
I guess so, and he's kicking ass. I'll tell you that much.
I would think Kellen Moore would be dropping it from all over the locker room.
Yeah.
Nah, it's definitely Sanchez. He's definitely the schemer.
All right. Well, hey, man, tell Winston sorry about everything. You have a great day on Thursday, and we'll talk to you next week, okay, man?
All right, fair enough.
It's like going into Wisconsin.
Well, I got the kicked out of me in Wisconsin once. Forget it.
Snap count on my mind, Romo hand on my butt. I'm the center, and that's what's up, yeah. I touch the ball on every play, and if you see me coming at you, it's time to pray. I got a big beard and a real mean streak. In the bedroom, I'm a super freak. I once say the whole honey-baked ham. Ask a DT who the I am. My name is Frederick. Yeah. Travis Frederick.
What's your name?
My name is Frederick. Yeah. Travis Frederick.
You know the damn deal. It's brought to you by Dr. Pepper and Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys, and those are two great tastes that go great together. He's the center of the Dallas Cowboys, the mighty Travis Frederick. How you doing, Travis?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Man, we're so happy to be talking to you. It's the highlight of the week, sir. And I was just enjoying your theme song that you wrote and performed, and I wanted to ask you the question, when's the last time you ate a honey-baked ham?
Probably last Thanksgiving. I do, probably not the day of Thanksgiving. We always have Thanksgiving on the day after since we play, obviously, the game on the day of. So probably the day after Thanksgiving, Black Friday last year.
Okay, so before the show, me and Ben were doing show prep with KT, and we looked out the window of where we were eating, and there was a honey-baked ham store, and there was a line, what did you say, 4 stores long, like 4 exteriors long, basically, Ben, of just people waiting in line to get their honey-baked ham. So who goes to get the honey-baked ham for you and your crew and waits in that long line?
Well, it kind of depends on who's all coming in and what the timing is as far as that goes. But this year, I think my wife's in charge of that, the same that she is. I don't know if she has to wait in the line. You can make appointments to pick these up now. So you can make an appointment to get a ham. It's an impressive deal.
Yeah, man, that line was around the corner, and it looked like it was going to be hell. Wouldn't you just kind of walk up and say, guys, I see the line, but it's me, Travis Frederick, starting center for the Dallas Cowboys. I think we all want to kind of let me scoot up to the front, don't we, everyone? Wouldn't you pull that?
I definitely would not pull that.
Come on.
That's not my style.
You're not getting the most out of your success.
I would wait my time.
Travis shows
Is that
up
what
like,
you do? Is that what you guys do?
Well, we don't have it like you. You guys are the most.
Have great status. You're Ben and Skin of the Ben and Skin show.
No, you guys are the most dominant thing in the NFL, and the NFL is the most powerful beast in the universe. What you guys are doing on your offensive line from a position group that has never, ever, just in general in the sport, gotten the love and respect they deserve, you guys are the real MVPs. And so you guys, I think, need to wear it. You're not going to get the love out there you deserve, and I think you guys just need to start walking crotch first and just say, hey, man, we're taking this because we deserve to take it.
You know, I'd say that's definitely not the style of our group. You've been fortunate to be able to talk to probably everybody on the group, but most people haven't. So I'm going to give you a little insight to it. It's a pretty quiet group. It's a group that kind of just stays together, stays in-house. And actually, probably a few years ago, there was even a rule you weren't allowed to talk to the media. So you weren't allowed to be out in the public at all. And we have opened it up a little bit, which I think is a great thing. But you're probably not going to see that happening anytime soon.
Is Doug Free the guy least likely to want to talk to the media of that group?
100%. I think that Ron is a guy who also doesn't like talking to the media that much, but he'll do it. He understands that it's kind of part of the job and that it's something that's required of us. But Doug tries to go against that for as much as he can. That was kind of the rule back when, he's been in a little bit longer than the rest of us. So the last generation of offensive line, if you will, was part of that, where they didn't talk to the media at all.
It's really interesting. I got to know Ron Leary at the Heroes baseball game, Dirk's charity baseball game. Just a super sweet man. Couldn't be nicer and very outgoing. And really all you guys are nice and humble and kind. How is it that you guys are able to flip a switch and become nasty maulers, on game days and face, the most elite giant athletes in the world who are trying to kill your quarterback and running back? But you guys, how are you able to flip that switch? Because clearly the way you guys act and perform on the field is different from the types of humans that you are.
Well, I think it's important to be able to separate those things. And luckily for us, we get to play a game for a living, and we get to do something that kind of has some violence involved in it. So it's a really good way to kind of work off your steam. You kind of build it up throughout the week, all those things, that when people, throw a soda out the window and it lands all over your car or whatever, and those things you can kind of pent up and use them on the game. It's just like at the water boy. It's tackling fuel. Other than it's blocking fuel.
Talking to Travis Frederick here on the Ben and Skin Show, 105.3 The Fan. Okay, so I'm assuming that Chaz's first name is really Charles. Do you know? Is that even accurate?
I'm not sure about that, but I believe that it is.
What do you think happens in a person's life named Charles? He can either end up being Chuck, Charlie, or Chaz. What do you think it is that leads to being one of those 3 distinctions coming from the name Charles?
Well, can you stick with Charles as well?
Yeah, you
can. Not an
option? No, you can, because the creator of Peanuts, Charles Schultz,
right,
always rolled that way. And it does have a very, I don't know, it sounds very refined. But I think most guys end up being Chuck, Charlie, and I think even to a lesser extent Chaz. So I'm real curious if you've ever spent time wondering how they end up in one of those 3 slots.
That is an interesting conundrum that you've placed here. I'd think that it's probably put on by the parents, would be my guess. You know, your parents name you Charles and say, okay, hey, we're going to call you Chaz, or we're going to call you Charlie. And that kind of goes until you're old enough to decide, oh, hey, I don't want to be called Charlie. I want to be called Chaz. And then you try and put that on yourself. But my guess is once it's stuck, it's probably stuck pretty good.
Hey, I'm trying to think back over time since you've been here. Have you ever been a part of the MVP ceremony on a Thanksgiving Day game, like when they hand out the turkey?
No, that's never happened.
I think it's going to happen this time around. And again, I want to go back to, you know, we're going to be humble here, and I know the way you play things, and you're not trying to predict a win or anything like that. But, you know, I'm serious when I talk about you guys not getting enough love. Now, your unit, your group doesn't really care about that. It's not like you guys are seeking that. But I do want it for you guys, and I think this would be the perfect opportunity. There's a nice correlation between a massive feast and an offensive line. Those two things come together on Thursday. And hypothetically, if you guys get the win, I certainly hope the broadcast would respect your fine work and bring all of you guys out there if it goes that way. And you know, I know you don't want to count your chickens before they hatch, but would that be an honor?
Well, you certainly thought that out, and it does make sense that a feast goes along with a bunch of fat guys that run around. So, I mean, that would be fun. That would definitely be cool. But like you said, I think the most important thing is focusing on going out and performing to the best of our ability and proving each and every play that we can be as good as we can be.
Need you to comment on a theory you may or may not have heard, so we'll blindside you with this. But Michael Irvin, the biggest Cowboy fan ever, has said recently, I think he said this on the G-Bag Nation this week, that he thinks a loss would be good for the team. It would be like a focus re-engagement, that, hey, just one little loss would be a good thing to get the team back on track. What do you think about that philosophy? Not him and his philosophy, but just in general, the idea that, hey, a loss would re-engage this group and keep it focused.
You know, I think it's an interesting philosophy, but I personally disagree. I think that in the way that things have gone in the NFL, we try not to look outside too much. We try and focus on us. But I think we're going to need as many wins as we can possibly get to be able to put ourselves in a good position going in. So I think that for us, we do a great job of when we come back in to work for the week on Tuesday and Wednesday, we really take that time to put away the previous game and put that completely behind us and just start looking towards the next opponent. And just one opponent, not two opponents, not three opponents, not a bigger picture, but just one thing, and really trying to recommit ourselves to focusing on that and focusing on us and not any of the outside stuff. So I think that recommitment each week that we've been spending time on and that we really think about is a great way to refocus that group. I think the group is focused each and every week.
Wow, shots fired at a Cowboy legend. Travis Frederick. Brought to you by Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys, and Dr. Pepper, the good soda. Hey, so that MVP thing on Thanksgiving, was that started by Madden? Do you remember that? Is that Madden that originally?
I think so, the turducken.
Yeah. So who is your all-time favorite football broadcaster, Travis?
Yeah, I think you have to go with the classic John Madden there. The combination of John Madden and Al Michaels together was pretty impressive.
Yeah, that was damn good. And
that's kind of like what I grew up with. You know,
right.
You have to stick with it.
Me and Ben are old, so we grew up with Summerall and Madden. But Al Michaels and Madden were fantastic. Now, have you spent much time enjoying the work of Gruden, Coach Gruden?
I have spent some time listening to him, and he's fun to listen to because I think he does a really good job of kind of announcing in a way that explains the game and explains what's going on to the fans. And sometimes it's not what you expect. So I think he does a really good job of that, breaking it down.
I like him too, but I think he talks like a crazy person, like a character in a movie, like Tarantino wrote this character out that he is. Do you have an imitation of Madden or of Gruden or any football broadcaster you'd like to try out?
I have no imitations. That's definitely not one of my strong suits. But I will say that I really do appreciate his work, and I don't think that he's a character. I think he's a really strong football backgrounded coach.
Well, he's a great coach, but he sounds crazy. Let's hear your Gruden. Come on, Travis. I know you're dying to roll.
I don't have a Gruden. I love that you're trying to make this work, but I really have no basis whatsoever. I'm sorry.
What's better, your Jerry impersonation or your Coach Garrett impersonation?
I think it would be easier to go with Coach Garrett. Probably not because of being able to use the voice, but knowing that he says a lot of the same things over and over and over, it's very easy to go to those mantras, if you will.
Perhaps we could hear a little bit of it as a treat.
I think it's really important to take things day by day. Each situation that comes up, we're just going to focus on one day at a time.
It's a process.
It's a process. I think. Thank you, KG. I think that some of that comes out in the interviews that you guys do. I had the fortune of listening into your Byron Jones interview, and I think I heard a couple in there as well.
Oh, really? Jealous much?
Oh, not at all. I was on my way home from work. I saw him when I was walking out the door, and I saw he was on the phone, and I thought, I wonder what he's doing. And I got in the car, I heard him on there.
Man,
he does a nice job, doesn't he?
Just let us have relationships outside of this one.
I'm just so jealous. Come on, guys. I thought it was just me.
All right,
I knew that you had two a week, and then you schedule us on the same day, and you try and put us up back to back, make us compete. Now that's just it's hard to do. It's hard to compete.
Wait till you see
the
internet
guy like
poll.
Byron Jones.
Ben put up an internet poll. Which one did you like better this Tuesday? He's tweeting it out. Now, you were bragging earlier that you're the only guy in the organization with a Charlotte Jones imitation. Let's hear a little bit of that.
I don't know that I've heard Charlotte Jones talk enough to be able to do an imitation.
Okay,
right, that's fine.
You're our one true love. You're the greatest. And now listen, we do this to you every Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
We ask you to power rank the Thanksgiving foods without giving you any warning or advance notice. So just think about all the foods you like in the order you like them, and let's start. Shippy, give him the first number. Let's think of all the great Thanksgiving foods. What is your 9th favorite?
Number 9 coming in, green bean casserole.
Ooh.
Number 8, cranberry sauce. Number 7, we have cornbread dressing. Number 6, we have turkey.
Whoa! Shots fired.
Number 5, we have cream corn.
Music.
Number 4.
Music.
Number 4, pecan pie. Number 3, pumpkin pie.
Okay.
Number 2 pies.
Yeah.
Number 2, sweet potato souffle.
Oh,
what are you, from France?
fancy.
Number 1, the traditional turkey stuffing.
Yeah!
Wow, well done.
Crazy that a lineman doesn't like mashed potatoes and gravy.
He hates mashed potatoes and gravy.
It's all about the stuffing, guys.
All right, that's good.
Hey, I can't believe you had 9 things off the top of your mind unprepared. Well done, as always. Hey, good luck.
It's hour number 3 of the G-Bag Nation. We have Stephen Jones joining us in 15 minutes, but joining us now, which he does every Monday at noon, is the playmaker Michael Irvin. And a good afternoon, sir. How you doing?
Hey, what's up, guys? How are you guys, man?
We are doing great. Ravens are pretty good, aren't they?
Ravens are very good. Ravens are very good, especially against stopping the run. And I heard you guys talking about that earlier. And it is great to see that we stuck with what we were doing. You know, the run game, if you think about it, these teams were very high, both teams, in time of possession, in the rankings. But the Cowboys do it with the run game, and the Ravens, which have been trying to do it with, defense getting people off the field and short passing game and stuff. And now they're trying to find a run game. But, man, for the Cowboys to do what they did to that team, offensively versus that team's defense, that was huge. That was a good team.
Michael, offensively, it's back-to-back games. I don't know if it's a trend, so I'm asking you if it is.
Zeke Elliott is somewhat sitting out the second quarter of games, like kind of playing most of the first quarter, then sitting out most of the second quarter. He didn't touch the ball yesterday in the second quarter, and then getting a whole bunch of carries and touches in the third and fourth quarter. Do you believe that's the plan for him, or it's just a random 2-game deal?
Oh, you're going to play what's laid out in front of you. Everybody's coming in every week with one thought in mind, and that is to stop Zeke Elliott, period. That's what, because teams know if you can run the ball consistently, then that limits the number of mistakes you'll make, and you'll have an opportunity to control the clock, keep the ball from your guys. It's the best way to go. And Dallas runs the best kind of an offense. I don't care what you say, unless you got a Tom Brady over there that knows how to dink and dunk all the way down the field. They run the best kind of offense. So teams, they have to stop that. That's why what you guys have been talking about, Dez Bryant has been getting the one-on-one coverage. That's not going to last forever either now. That's not going to last forever either. They're going to, Dez put back-to-back games together like he has, scoring a couple touchdowns, going over 100 yards. They'll start rotating out and getting some pressure on Dez.
Well, then isn't Zeke going to run for 300 yards as soon as they do?
Absolutely, buddy. And that's what we're talking about. That's what's great about it. That's what makes it work. Now, because now this is what keeps you playing checkers while they're playing chess. You know what's going to happen. I know what you're going to stop, and then I know I can beat you down with Dez. And then you're going to get frantic and try to stop that. And now I'm going to come back to beating you down with Zeke. It is what you guys were talking about earlier. That's what we had in the 90s. You can go pick your poison, but you understand you must die. People always ask me, and they say, Mike, well, how did you beat a double team? I said, what do you mean how I beat a double team? Now, I can ask Troy, throw it, just throw it anyway. And sometimes he said, sometimes I'm going to give you that opportunity. I said, I don't care if it's, you know how you're on the sideline and you acting all hype and you crazy, right? So I don't care if it's 3 people on me. Just throw the ball, I'll get it. So I said, now listen, calm down. I'm not throwing the ball into 3 people. He was saying it real calmly. But the best way to beat a double team, really, I would go to Emmett and say, you better run them out of this. That's, period, the best way to beat it. And that's what Zeke and that's what Dez will have to establish. When they come back to doubling Dez don't get frustrated with Dak. Don't get frustrated with nobody. Don't get frustrated yourself. You go to Zeke and say, you run their ass out of this.
The other thing, Michael, is Dak Prescott just
hype. What am I getting hyped for?
Hey,
Monday?
because we're 9-1, man. You're making me hype. I'm about to take my shirt off again like we did a few weeks ago.
Well, you tripping. I know. They were 9-1. I'm getting hyped. Okay.
Hey, and I'll get you more hype because Dak just keeps getting better. That was arguably his best game yesterday after getting hit and being off target a few times early in the game. The second half was pure perfection from him.
And did you see the paces? One time he came up and he stood to pat his feet and then hit a hole. I was like, man, he's getting just so patient. He's seeing a whole bunch now. He's seeing it. He's feeling it. And I've been hearing people, because, I do the shows, so I watch all the shows. Everybody's talking about. And let me tell you what people, they try to project the problems for the Cowboys. Because you got a great deal of people so happy, but then everybody else like, it's got to fall soon. Something's going to happen. Well, now, since we've gotten past the Tony Romo and Dak problem, now it's when is Zeke going to hit a wall? This is the new thing going around.
Yeah.
When I'm on TV or something, I say, man, somebody stop, man. Stop. There's such thing as a rookie wall. When is Zeke going to hit a wall? Well, it's just stop. Nobody playing this well that's on a run for MVP thinks about a wall. Nobody does that. I always say hope dictates effort. The greater hope I have in things, the more effort I would give. This is the sky for Zeke to come in his first year and take the Dallas Cowboys to a 9-1 record and possibly the Super Bowl with the MVP. Shut up talking about a wall. You don't even see a wall.
Yeah, Zeke and the Cowboys are redefining rookie wall. It's coming into the NFL with the best line in football. That's the wall.
That's what I said. I said, this man doesn't see a wall because that offensive line won't let him see a wall. He's seeing air, and he's making the most of it.
So fourth quarter drive, they're up 7. They get the ball back, Mike, with 8 minutes to play, and they run 6 minutes and 26 seconds a clock and get a field goal. How hard is that to do?
It's very difficult. But I'm telling you, how you hear people always talking about that 4-minute offense. They got to go in that 4-minute offense. And 4 minutes, you run 4 or 5 minutes off, that's great. But you go up in that 6th area, you've done something. It's a nice, slow, methodic pace. But here's what's mind-boggling. That's a rookie controlling all of that. Dude, I don't even understand if you guys understand the depth of that. And I saw the little thing going around on the social media thing where Dak was sitting on the bench and he flipped back the water bottle. And the water bottle missed the garbage can. He got up off the bench, went and picked up the water bottle and threw it in the garbage can. Now, 99.9999 football players would have left that bottle on that ground. That's somebody else's job now. This dude detailed he's a different kind of dude. He's just a different kind of dude. He went and got that bottle and put it in the garbage can. Quarterback of America's team, but he has his head and perspective in the right way, and that gives him an ability to do that. I mean, it's mind-boggling to put a drive together like that.
Michael, I'm sure you saw the Washington-Green Bay game. Washington looks really good right now as it's a short week for both teams. How do you see this Washington-Dallas game?
Well, if Dallas doesn't, I'm going to tell you right now, if Dallas doesn't get the ball and control the clock, we're going to have some issues stopping all of what Redskins do on offense. That's just the bottom line. That team is really coming together and playing well. James Crowder, he's doing things. I'm thinking about talking that up on inside the NFL, just how great whole East is. Don't stop. I mean, the Giants aren't looking bad either. The Giants aren't looking bad. So we're talking about we're out front of the NFL, and we are. But we have some battles to go in the NFC East, and we do. And speaking of those battles, I'm hoping, and I'm going to say this, and it's just great to be talking this way. Instead of looking for a win, I'm really looking for a loss. Okay. I need a loss in here on the way to the playoffs to make us re-identify, refocus. Not saying that they are not focused and everything, but I wouldn't have an issue with a loss and a reshake.
As long as it refocuses, right? Because Michael, 12-1 in 2007, and then they started playing horrible. And as a Cowboy fan, we tried to write it off, saying, "But they played 13 really good games. Yeah, the last 3 were horrible, and then they didn't play good against the Giants and were out of the playoffs."
Right, that's what I'm saying. So now you want to be able to handle that kind of adversity and can refocus. You know, I don't want that to happen. I don't want us to go into the playoffs without that. Because then when you go 9, 10, 12 games, you almost forget how bad it feels to lose. You know, we 12 games straight into a playoff, you forget how bad it feels to lose. And you search yourself less in victory. We search ourselves deeply in defeat because we're hurt so much we want to make sure it never happens again. Victory, I look at it with an overarching eye. Whatever happened, it worked. You know, so I'm not searching this. So I want a searching of ourselves one time before we go into playoffs. 14-2 is a great record, just to make sure you can redirect.
I'll drink to that. Final question. You played through it. How much of an advantage is it to play on Thanksgiving Day at home, especially with your opponent playing the Sunday Nighter?
It's huge to have Thanksgiving Day at home. And it really is, man, to be playing at home. And we always talked about that in the locker room. It's a huge advantage for us and a huge disadvantage for teams coming in, you know, because you think about it. Once you get that game in, here comes your break. You really get out, you get with the guys, say, man, let's take this day break. We're going to rest all day tomorrow anyway. You get out, you have fun, you eat, everything. And you kind of get a reshaking for the last quarter of the season. All these guys somewhere eating together, hanging out, but also talking about the goals that are right in front of them. You know what I mean? So it's always great to have at home. I love that.
Michael, in the Irving household, as it becomes Thursday or Friday, whichever day you celebrate Thanksgiving, what's the meal that sets it off? What's the side that sets it off?
What do you mean when I'm celebrating Thanksgiving? My day now, I'm a working man. I'm a workaholic, so I do have to work Thanksgiving. But I will work Thanksgiving and then get home and have dinner with my families. My families. I'll do the Thanksgiving, work early that morning. Then the first game comes on. I'm hopping on a plane. I will land in Dallas and go be with my Jones family, of course, in the suite and watch the game, and then I'll come home to be with my primary family at my house and watch dinner. Now at my, in the suite we don't have everything. At my house we will have the turkey dinner. We do the traditional dinner.
Okay. Sounds amazing, Mike. Have yourself a great time. Thanks for giving us another awesome segment every Monday at noon here on The Fan. Have a good one.
Guys, this has been so fun this year. So because we got so many Cowboy fans that love it, but then there's so many people that hate it when the Cowboys are doing well.
Yeah. Hey, Michael, Jerry told us the other day that sales are up. What was it? Was it 10 times?
Yeah.
10 times jersey sales are up this year from last year.
Yeah, I know it. Everything. Everybody's going crazy. And all of these people, they're saying, we got you now. So all the mess that everybody's taking, all the junk you took last year, go back to all of those people. You can't find them. They're hiding right now. They're hiding right now with the record being what it is.
Have a great day, Mike. Salute. There he is, Michael Irvin, and those haters, they're about to have like the worst 4 or 5 years of their life.
Game.
Yeah.
Cowboys are having close games where they are having to come back. If you have to choose, if I guaranteed you the 1 seed, now look, there's no bigger Cowboy fan than Michael Irvin. So listen to his justification and see if you can get on board. This is the Playmaker with G-Bag previewing the Redskins yesterday.
And I'm going to say this, and it's just great to be talking this way. Instead of looking for a win, I'm really looking for a loss. Okay. I need a loss in here on the way to the playoffs to make us re-identify, refocus. Not saying that they are not focused and everything, but I wouldn't have an issue with a loss and a reshake.
All right, before we react, before you jump Mike on Twitter or the Autoflex Leasing fan text, the fellas asked him to elaborate just a little bit more on his take.
When you go 9, 10, 12 games, you almost forget how bad it feels to lose. We 12 games straight into a playoff, you forget how bad it feels to lose, and you search yourself less in victory. We search ourselves deeply in defeat because we're hurt so much we want to make sure it never happens again. Victory, I look at it with an overarching eye. Whatever happened, it worked. So I'm not searching this. So I want a searching of ourselves one time before we go into playoffs. 14-2 is a great record, just to make sure you can redirect.
I love his point in the last clip there about how you kind of gloss over some things in a win. And then look how we cover these games. They win, and we gloss over so many things. But if they lose, we're going to dissect and magnify 8 different things. I'm on board with Mike, just not against a division opponent. I get his concept. I like his concept. It makes sense, but not against the Redskins, not against the NFC East.
Cowboys are a touchdown favorite against Washington. Scares me. This season reminds me so much of the Pittsburgh Steelers back in 2004. Steelers have a rookie quarterback. They lose their second game of the year against the Ravens. They win every other game that season until the AFC title game at home in Pittsburgh, and they get beat up by the Patriots. And when I was thinking about that game on Sunday after they beat up the Ravens, I mean, they manhandled the best defense in the NFL, right? Statistically. Even if they're not the best defense, statistically they are. So they manhandled them.
Second half.
And I thought we could be watching the best team in the NFC. They beat whoever their first round opponent is in the divisional round, and then they have to play Seattle. They have to play a team with a quarterback who's been there, done that, who physically could match up pretty well with Dallas's offensive line. Not necessarily get beat up by him, but with Bobby Wagner and that secondary, that's a matchup that you would say, I don't know about that one. So I just don't. I understand Mike's point. I just don't know physically, offensively, if anybody can match up with Dallas's offensive line right now.
Look, if they make the NFC title game and lose, I'm not going to cry in my soup.
It's a great year.
I mean, that's an advancement over what they've done for the last 20 years. You're losing to the best NFC team of the decade, which is Seattle. I don't have a problem with that. I would not regret or have any problem with that season at all. I think this would be a great season if that's the way it went down. Now they lose to the Giants in the NFC Championship game. Now I got a problem.
Let's talk about Mike's point.
But Mike's point, I mean, look, he went through this. 1992, that team was rolling, and they go up and they lose to to Washington. And on the plane ride home, that's when Jimmy Johnson just basically wouldn't allow dinner for any of his players. It was detailed in Jeff Pearlman's book, Boys Will Be Boys. It was a very memorable plane ride. 1993, they had won 7 straight. Then they lose 2 in a row. They go on a 5-game win streak at the end of the season. They win the Super Bowl. The first time I ever heard this theory was San Francisco in 94. They went on this long win streak, and then, bam, they lose to Minnesota in the final week of the season. They had won 10 straight going into that final week. They lose. It refocused them. I totally buy into this theory. I don't know that – I haven't found any studies that back it up, but I totally buy into it as a whole, that it will can refocus you. But I agree with you on the division part.
These are 9-1 problems. And the Peyton Manning Colts always had to deal with rest and complacency. When those are your biggest problems, you're having a freaking awesome year. So now you're the Cowboys, and you got to worry about now down the road with the rest. But, oh, my gosh, are we used to losing? Do we need to be down in the fourth quarter? Do we need to come back? Now, the Cowboys have had some slow starts, so that works in their favor. If you're worried about them being put in some precarious situations, I can sign up. If you're guaranteeing me you're still going to be the 1 seed, then I can subscribe to Mike's theory when you lose with all your guys, just not against the Redskins, not against the East.
Yes, I buy that it can help refocus you, but the other part that we're not considering is how many times have we seen in the NFL that a loss steamrolls into several losses because all of a sudden you introduce that mentality into the locker room, you introduce question marks into the locker room. This is the part, and a fan texter pointed this out as well, this is the part of Jason Garrett where I do have the utmost confidence. He has them riding not on a 9-1 high streak. He has them riding at even keel, as if they were 5-5 at this point in the season, as he's been so many times at this point in the season throughout his couple last years with the Cowboys. To me, this is where I trust Jason Garrett and say to myself, maybe if I felt like I needed a win to refocus things, I might feel that way with a different head coach. But with Jason Garrett, I fully expect him to keep them on an even keel, win or lose.
Here's the other good thing. It's not like you're just blowing everyone out. I would be a little bit worried about that. You had a 4-point win at Washington.
Mm-hmm.
You were down to the Niners. You had to come back. You won by 7. You should have probably lost to Philly. You won by 6. You had a 35-30 game, an epic game at Pittsburgh. And then you had a close first half against the Ravens. So they're just not blowing. Them Peyton Manning Colts teams, I felt like they were blowing everyone out. So you wanted them, I don't know if you wanted a loss, you wanted a close game.
Yeah.
Cowboys are having close games where they are having to come back. If you have to choose, if I guaranteed you the 1 seed and you can win the rest, or you can have a loss and still be the 1, I'm still leaning towards winning all my games.
Here's the one thing. If they wind up winning out, they will have to have won 18 straight games. Okay, that...
You mean winning out to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, like if they don't lose, I mean, that's 18 straight. That's dang near impossible.
True.
So it's you hate to lose, you're right, but it's like, what's more likely, to win 18 straight or lose and then finish out by winning the rest of them?
Good point. Very interesting. Let's see what Jerry says. I'll ask Jerry at 8:30. Let's bring in our NFL Network insider, Ian Rappaport, on the AA Best Bail Bonds phone line. Good morning, Ian. How you doing, man?
What's going on? How you guys?
Sweet potato or pumpkin pie?
I will go with sweet potato, probably. Just my southern roots, There you go.
We support that. Where are you right now?
I'm in a Starbucks. I'm going to walk outside. Hang on.
What do you get? What is your drink?
I just get hot coffee, but Clover. I don't know if you guys have Clover down there. I think you do.
Clover? What is that, RJ?
I'm not familiar with Clover.
It's like specially made vacuum sealed coffee or something.
Now, did you just lose your place in line?
No, see, my wife is a barista here, so she makes sure I get a nice space right at the bar.
Your wife is a Starbucks barista?
Oh yeah,
Just like RJ.
Oh man.
She used to manage a store in when we lived in Dallas, but then we had some kids and she became a barista instead.
Wow. Okay, take us through this Tony Romo Denver rumor report. Just whatever you've been hearing about Romo's possible future.
Yeah, I mean, a couple things. I think it's sort of clear now that Romo's not going to be back in Dallas. I mean, that's theoretically possible. Everything's possible. But it just does not seem likely, especially if he wants to be a starting quarterback, which he, of course, if he's going to continue playing, he, of course, does. So, you look around and you think, what would be logical destinations for him? And from my understanding, one of the places that he likes a lot is Denver. And it makes sense. Denver's done it before. With Peyton Manning, they brought in a veteran. They didn't care about what it looked like or what it cost. They just dealt with it and kept winning and then figured it out from there. And, it would take a couple things. It would take Denver saying Trevor Siemian is not our guy, which we don't know that evaluation yet. It would also take them saying Paxton Lynch is not ready right now, which I think is probably something that makes a lot of sense. I think he's going to be good. It just, thought he would be a 2-year project, and that might be what it's going to be. So great defense, chance to win right away, certainly would make a lot of sense for Tony Romo.
Have you heard any type of compensation value attached to Tony, given the injury concern and the money? Is he going to have to restructure?
Yeah, I mean, I think the money is more of a thing than anything. And, I've talked to a couple GMs about what it would cost. It's not going to be a first-round pick. It's going to be more like Brett Favre was dealt for a fourth-rounder. Carson Palmer was dealt for, I think, a conditional seventh that became a sixth. So my from talking to a couple GMs.
Is that a clove you got stuck in there?
It's that season, plus I got the two small kids are running germs. It sounds like it's going to be a fourth or fifth or sixth rounder. But to me, it doesn't matter. You save $5 million against the cap. You save $14 million in cash, although you do have to pay a backup as well. And you just do nice for a guy who's done well by the organization. I think that's the best thing. And that's why, Romo's options are very limited, because the Cowboys are not going to ship him to Cleveland. I think Chicago is an interesting one, but how terrible are they next year? And is Romo really going to step in there in a place that needs to rebuild? I would highly doubt it.
What is the likelihood that he just decides to retire?
I think it's possible, and from the people I've spoken with, it is something that is being considered. I don't know how highly it's considered, but it is a consideration. And, he would not be the first superstar Cowboys quarterback to retire a little bit early because of an injury. I think Troy Aikman probably is doing fine himself right about now. And, Michael Irvin kind of is honestly the same thing. He's 35 or 36. He's made more than $100 million. He's proven everything he needs to prove. And he's got an organization that he loves and is still very, very much a part of. And I think it's possible. And from the people I've spoken with, it certainly will be a consideration, toward the end of the year, assuming he continues to feel good about the Cowboys and how they treated him and all that.
Ian Rappaport, NFL Network insider on the AA Best Bail Bonds phone line. Chances of Andrew Luck playing tomorrow night against the Steelers are what?
Very, very slim. I don't know about percentage, but he hasn't practiced. It's 3 days out from a concussion. They are going under the assumption plan that it's going to be Scott Tolzien at quarterback. And I would be surprised, very, very surprised if that's not the case, which is, as someone who's biased for football on the NFL Network and all that, it's too bad because it's not going to see Andrew Luck on the national spotlight, and that just kind of sucks.
What are the chances that Adrian Peterson comes back this year?
Pretty good, from what I hear. I think it'll be, late December, maybe game 15, game 16, but possible. And we have learned not to bet against him ever. We have learned that if he's on the field, he's one of the best there is. And so, what if they are 7-7 going into the last two games? I think you might see Adrian Peterson. And, they've tried so hard to get a run game going. They They tried to claim Christian Michael and said he went to the Packers. They've tried everything, but to get Adrian Peterson back would supremely help.
Buffalo getting Sammy Watkins back?
Yeah, they think that's happening too, and he's going to practice today. And it's funny, I think everyone sort of assumed that this was over. There were some reports he was going to have surgery, season over, get ready for next year. I never heard that. I thought I was crazy, because when you hear things from good sources that other people aren't, it's just kind of odd. You're like, maybe my source is just wrong, but it would always seem like the hope was for him to return for the last month of the season. Practicing today, my guess is probably needs 2 weeks of practice, and then we'll see what happens. But that's another team in playoff contention that could get a huge, huge boost.
What about Jay Cutler?
That did not sound as likely.
Well, obviously not for this week. I mean, is he actually even going to be? Is he done in Chicago? Period.
I think so, but it's tough to actually know. Now, it sounds like it's a torn labrum. My expectation from the people I've spoken with is that it's season-ending, and he'll have to have surgery. Bad injury. I mean, everyone keeps saying, yeah, it's just not good. Duh. But I think he's probably done in Chicago. But here's the question: who are you going to replace him with? Right? It's like we can talk all we want about this guy's done, this team hates him, and yeah, okay, all true. But who's going to be better? Is Brian Hoyer better? He's had a couple injuries. Are you okay with that? I think and it's not a great quarterback draft. So it's like for the Cowboys, it's funny, if Dak Prescott hadn't happened, the whole topic would be, what are the Cowboys going to do at quarterback? It's a bad quarterback draft. They're stuck again, and now they don't have to worry about it for 10 years. It's amazing.
What's more likely? Pace of play changes or changes to sideline cameras after what happened to the Texans?
Pace of play changes. It's funny. I've looked at that shot a million times from the Texans. I thought he stepped out of bounds. It looked like if he puts his heel down, you can't see it great, but it looks like his heel is out of bounds. So either I'm crazy and the officials who were standing 2 feet from him were crazy, or everyone else is crazy. But I think the pace of play stuff is really going to happen. Fewer commercials, so it's probably going to be announcers reading a couple commercials like they do on radio, like you guys do to stuff your pockets. And probably going to be fewer touchdown commercial, kickoff commercial, back and play. How frustrating that is, right? So I think there's going to be fewer of those, and anything to keep the game more interesting. And baseball's doing it too. This is just the way the world is going, I think.
Happy Thanksgiving to you and the missus. Enjoy the cloves, and we'll see you on TV soon.
Clovers. Now, hold on. Now, what do you guys smoking or frying a turkey? What do we got?
Bake.
Just regular oven, whatever.
I wish I knew how to fry it.
That's embarrassing.
What are you doing?
Oh, fry that thing.
We're smoking, obviously.
Oh, God, you're such a hipster.
I mean, I'm not doing it. My brother's doing it. But
Wow,
I got work to do.
Did the Pilgrims smoke it? No, that's how they eat it.
That's what we say.
We're working tomorrow, too. You're definitely getting the Cowboys pregame show on the Miller Lite West Plaza with me, RJ, Jesse Holly, and our boy from DallasCowboys.com, Brian Broaddus, will be joining us as well. Broaddus on the AA Best Bail Bonds phone line. Good morning, man. How you doing?
Well, boys, hey, I just want to say thank you guys so much for talking about the Peace-a-thon and stuff like that. I was sitting here listening, and I appreciate all your kind words, and yeah, it's exciting. I really am. I'm looking forward to it. I've got a great shift there, 2 to 6 in the morning.
Why do you like this 2 to 6 so much? Everyone's talking about it.
You know what? I just think that overnight radio, you can be really crazy and do things, and the KNC boys are fun to do that with. I mean, they kind of come up with the bits and. And like when I remember, with Shippy getting hit in the face with a frozen ham, and
someone put a turkey. They always end with a turkey
on the head. Yeah, I mean, there's always something kind of going on, and you would be surprised. I know you guys do. You guys are up early. All you guys are up early, and you would be surprised the number of people that are up with you, kind of having fun doing stuff. So yeah, it's. But I do appreciate you guys promoting. I appreciate the station doing it. It's for such a great cause, and. I was really glad to be a part of it. And, like I say, I hope somebody bids on that Dak and Zeke ball. I mean, it's 2 signatures on one ball. It might get the offensive rookie of the year and maybe the MVP on one ball. So I hope folks take an opportunity to look at that.
When do guys start cracking?
I was asking that. It was funny because I like to come in, like I say, that 2 to 6. They're about to that point. I mean, it's like it's been a long day for those cats. And you guys have done radio all your life, so you understand it's doing a 4-hour show, 5-hour show. It could be a little tough, but to do 14 hours, that's a little different. But, yeah, I asked Corey, I said, what do you need me to bring in? He's like, what kind of Red Bull connection you got? And so I've got a good Red Bull connection, so I'm going to take care. But, yeah, it's by that time, they're pretty much looking at each other bleary-eyed and just kind of running out of steam. So we'll have some good football talk overnight for everybody.
How is the Brian brought us turkey usually prepared?
Well, this year I did something that I've done last year. I usually fry a turkey myself. I usually do the Cajun. I heard you talking about that. I usually do some type of Cajun. I got my turkey last year from Popeyes, the chicken place.
Really? What?
Yeah. Popeyes does not only great chicken. I hope I don't hurt a sponsor with us here
No,
at
it
the
is
Cowboys.
great.
But I like the spicy the way. But they do turkeys too, and so I went and got 3 of them. Matter of fact, and I'm going to go pick them up today. Excited to drop off a couple at family and friends, and then enjoy one myself on Friday after this football game.
I'm in shock right now. Have you had it?
Yeah, I have. It's excellent.
It
I did it last year. Yeah, I've gone to a couple different places. Nate's is another one of my Cajun seafood places. I'm doing all these promotional things now for these people. I hope they appreciate that. But yeah, I mean,
how much is a turkey from Popeyes?
It's about $40. Is
Okay.
what it is.
Okay.
So yeah, so it saves you from having to, they do everything, all the work. You just come and go pick it up, heat it up, and go. And it's really, really, really good.
You may have just changed my life.
Well, I just, I know you like to cook.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been over to your place. You're not afraid to get out there and mess around with some spices and stuff like that. So
how hard is it to smoke one? I got to get Dawson's help with that. I
I
dry it out, man. I dry it out.
My family was in the restaurant business for 80 years, Sonny Bryan's and all that.
There's another one.
Yeah, I was one of those guys that, my father, and then they had a huge pit there at the restaurant, and we would do it. That was like my dad's gift to people for Thanksgiving. Hey, come by and pick up a smoked turkey. But yeah, it's a lot. You need a lot of patience to do that. I think the equipment is really, really, really important for that. I think you have to have the right. And I'm sure we have Ben and Skin do some promotional thing.
Drop a grill sponsor on
there.
there.
You go. There we go. Green eggs. Somebody's got something involved.
Hey, you could smoke with the G-Bag Nation tomorrow.
There you go.
There you go.
Grill,
Hey,
man.
everyone's
Get your
getting
free
paid.
t-shirt.
Everyone's getting paid.
Everybody's getting paid. But yeah, I think you have to have the right equipment, but you have to have a lot of patience and hey, crack a few cold ones and just kind of wait for it to happen.
Brian brought us DallasCowboys.com here on 105.3 The Fan. How are the Cowboys and Redskins different today than the first matchup?
Well, I'll tell you what, the quarterback I feel like is really playing well for Washington. And, and the quarterback for the Cowboys is playing well, too. I thought it was a learning experience coming off the Giants loss. That was new for him and with Dak. And, and it was going to be a difficult day for him to have to go to Washington. I thought he was outstanding, though, with the reads. They helped him with some of the two-level stuff, the movement, the waggles, the boots. He was very accurate in that game. It really came down to a couple of different stops for the Cowboys. The 4th and 1 or 4th and 2 stop that Durant was able to get in the throwing lane and knock the ball down, and then also Cousins throwing the interception down in the red zone. So, that's really, this is a pretty two evenly matched teams. Both defenses will be in trouble, in trying to stop the other's weapons on the outside. I think the Cowboys they clearly run the ball better, but don't sleep on Rob Kelly, what he's done the last 3 weeks. The undrafted rookie from Tulane has given them a little juice running the football. They still want to throw the football. They got all these weapons we talk about, and it's going to be difficult to have to match up. They get in these 4 wide receiver sets, and this is where the problem is because Cousins, he's a 65% passer, 11 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, about 7 yards a shot throwing the football that way. So they're going to have to match up across the board. I heard Mike Fisher come on and talk about Skandrick. I believe he's a little bit compromised with his injury. I think he's playing through some stuff right now. The short turnaround is going to be difficult for him to deal with. So, all hands on deck, and let's see how things play out. But this is not going to be an easy one to have to deal with on offense for either one of these teams.
Are you a long-term believer in Cousins?
You know what? I think that to me, in watching him play, I think that the Redskins really need to make a commitment. Scott McCloughan and I worked together in Green Bay. I'm interested to talk to Scotty on the field before the game, tomorrow. I don't know if he'll tell me anything, but I was curious that question. We have the video with, Cousins like getting in his face.
Yeah.
I know Scotty, knowing Scotty the way I do, I don't think Scotty really appreciated him like taking a shot at his hair like the way he did. But I think that, in this league you have to find quarterback play, and it's obvious with the weapons that they do have that he can distribute the football and make plays. Their offensive line seems to be coming around. So this is a team that I've always worried about. When we have our shows on weekday shows, we always say, hey, who do you worry about in the division? And Washington was my team just because of all the weapons. And, they've got a guy on the outside that can cover too. It helps their defense.
Brought us in the Week 2 game. We didn't see Josh Norman follow Dez around in the early part of the game. That he did later on.
Right.
Have they changed that up? Is he going to follow Dez this week?
Yeah, Fisher made another good point. Short week. What game plan do you think about? Can you go with it? Okay, we're going to have to adjust everybody. Watching the Minnesota game and the Green Bay game, they didn't travel Norman with their guys, with those two. Both those teams have some talent on the outside at receivers, so they didn't travel Norman then. I think what you might see different, the Redskins really allowed Dez Bryant free access in the last game. I think that's where, and I mean free access, they didn't play up on him and make him fight to get space. And I think that's something that they might change in this game, even if it's Breeland. I know Norman will play that way. I mean, I know there were 2 targets that Dez had with Norman on him, and he was 0 for 2. I mean, no catches there. So we'll see if the Redskins go that route. I will say keep an eye on something that the Redskins might do. Sua Cravens, their rookie linebacker, is a guy that last week against the Packers was a spy against Aaron Rodgers. We know how Aaron Rodgers likes to move around in the pocket and run. Keep an eye on Sua Cravens. He's number 36 for the Redskins. He might play in a position like a rover, monster kind of role where he plays in the middle of the field, and see if they can limit Dak's runs if pressure. The Redskins were the team that got 4 sacks on the Cowboys last time. That's the most the Cowboys have given up in any game this year. So they've got some rushers, and and as far as can they do it on a short week, Chop, to answer your question, surely they can. But I think you have to be careful with how much do you really want to go game plan without a lot of preparation.
I ask you the same question every single week. What does the Redskins' run D look like?
Well, this is where the Cowboys they've been better, guys. The last 5 weeks, the Redskins have allowed teams only 94 yards a game, where the first 5 games they were giving up about $130. So they've clearly shut things down. If you look at the competition, it's pretty even to what they played. The first 5 was Pittsburgh, Dallas, Giants, Cleveland, and Baltimore, which ranks about 21st if you average all them out. This last 5 have been Philly, Detroit, Cincinnati, Minnesota, and Green Bay, and that ranks about 20. If you want to talk about the ranking of those teams. So teams have run the ball about 2 times less against them, and the yards per carry went from 5.2 to 4.0. So, they're having to deal. It might be a lot of it too because teams are having to play from behind and try and catch up. The Redskins have been able to put some points up on the board, so maybe teams get out of their rush. But I think that this team is better equipped to rush the passer with the guys that they've got. When I talk about, with Kerrigan, and then also Preston Smith.
Yeah.
And then also don't forget Trent Murphy is another one that has a lot of sacks. So they're going to rotate those 3 guys around. I have a feeling they're going to take a rush or 2 at Doug Free. He seems to be the one that everybody likes to go at. Nobody wants to waste rushes against Tyron Smith. So they're going to have to be able to defend the run, but they, at least the last 5 weeks, they've done a much better job of it.
2 to 6 a.m. tonight, KNCP.
It's like the Cowboys are never going to lose again. How weird must it be to have a talk show where for like the last 10 years, most of the time, you have come on the air every Monday and just wrung your hands and saying, oh, my God, what are we going to do with this horrible franchise and blah, blah, blah. And now it's like Jerry Jones for mayor. Let's go Jerry Jones for governor.
You know what? You're exactly right about that, except that it's been the last 20 years, not 10.
Yeah, we're working on about 20 years on this show now with that kind of result. But this has been incredible. And, just the winning streak of 9 is pretty remarkable for a team that it's relying on rookies. And in this day and age, as balanced as the league is, unless you have just a super team, this just doesn't happen, does it?
Well, the one thing that I find so interesting, I'm reminded, and I don't know whether Parcells ever made this a mantra when he coached the Cowboys, But, I mean, I covered Parcells for 4 years in the 80s in New York. And his mantra every year you'd get to training camp, and he would lecture not only the players but the press and, you know, directly the fans through the press. You never pick up in one year where you left off the next year. Nothing is ever guaranteed to you. Don't think that football is a continuum. It never is. It changes every single year. And that, to me, is sort of the perfect little lesson for this Cowboys season because, essentially, I mean, nobody ever thought that once Tony Romo went down, they'd be a great team. I would bet that if you polled your listeners right around Labor Day weekend and you just asked them, okay, would you settle for a 8-8 season in which Dak Prescott showed some promise about possibly being the long-term quarterback of this team? Probably, I would bet more than half of your fans would have said yes.
Yep.
Or more than half of your listeners would have said yes. Maybe 75% would have.
Yep.
But the point is, it has been so long since any backup quarterback did anything good in Dallas that you're just sort of, you know, immune to any hope when Tony Romo goes down because they think it's going to be Matt Castle all over again. So to me, I think that is the one thing. And the one other thing I think about this year that is a great lesson, it's that, you know, if you have in your mind, and I will never forget this, I'm writing something about this week. I'm thinking back to the day before the draft. Or no, I'm sorry, the day of the draft, the day of the draft when I was in Dallas and talking to Jerry Jones, and he essentially sold me, just like he sold everybody tried to sell everybody in the press conference post day one and everything about how good it was going to be for the defense that Ezekiel Elliott was the first pick in the draft and not somebody else, not even though they couldn't have taken Bosa at that time, you know, that a Jalen Ramsey type. And, you know, because he said, you know, everybody's so used to what Jerry's saying not coming true in a football sense. But what Jerry said is exactly coming true. Who leads the NFL in time of possession?
Yeah.
You know, the average possessions for the opponents this year is down like 1.4 per game for the opponents, and that is just 1.4 less chances per game that the opposition has of scoring.
Our weekly visit with Peter King is brought to us by TexasDirectAuto.com. You know, around these parts, a lot of people are starting, and I'm sure nationwide, starting to consider the most valuable player this season. Tom Brady gets a lot of publicity nationwide, even though he missed the first 4 games. But in these parts, many think it should be Dak or Zeke or both of them or the Cowboys' offensive line. Who would be your front runner right now for NFL MVP?
Ezekiel Elliott. I've said it the last 2 weeks. First of all, I don't see how. And look, you never assume that anybody is going to play every game for the rest of the year. So I think it's silly to suggest at midseason or after 11 weeks that a guy who missed 4 games, if his team has played 10 and the guy has missed 4, how can that guy be the MVP? I don't. And again, at the end of the year, if he plays 12 out of 16, that's right around the border that I would pick a guy. I mean. I'm not saying I wouldn't vote for Brady after he plays 12 games, or how do we know he's going to play 12? But I'd pick Ezekiel Elliott for this reason that, you know, much of what I just said. I mean, the Cowboys wanted this season to be a ball control, ball possession team. They've gone from 11th last year in time of possession to first. Their running game is dominant. And again, their running game was very good good to very good last year. Okay, but it's obviously dominant this year. And although Dak Prescott, in my opinion, is absolutely a worthy candidate for this, and if people voted for him because he's the quarterback, and the quarterback in almost every case is the most important guy on your team, I think in this case, a rookie coming in and assuming that he continues what he's doing, 139 scrimmage yards per game, which would far and away be better than what Jim Brown was the last time a rookie running back was voted in 1957 the most outstanding player of the year, not called the MVP then. I would give it to Elliott.
It's Peter King with us here on The Ticket. As we mentioned, the Cowboys with a 9-game winning streak. There's some other teams that are pretty hot in the NFL, including the Giants in the Cowboys division. They're the team that started this season by beating Dallas. They have won 5 in a row. What's your take on how well New York's playing?
Well, I mean, the Giants have won games in some really kind of weird ways. I mean, we'll go back and say that in this winning streak they're on right now, the 5-game winning streak, every game they've won by less than a touchdown or less. And some of them you look at and you say, wow, how'd they win that game? The Landon Collins incredible interception return against the Rams in London. Some of the chances they had to lose these other games. Look, the whole thing is they didn't lose. They've played well enough. And now when I look at this team, I say that, the defense is good enough so that they could play somebody a close game in January. And I'll just say, I said this to a good friend of mine who's a huge Giants fan and who's really worried. He's Mr. Negative about everything with the Giants. I said, just keep this in mind. If you get into a playoff game, there's a very good chance it's going to be a one-score game in the fourth quarter because every game the Giants play is a one-score game in the fourth quarter. And you got Eli Manning. How has Eli Manning done in the biggest games of his life late in fourth quarters of games? I mean, he's beaten the Patriots twice in Super Bowls late in the fourth quarter of games. And so you've got a totally unflappable quarterback who basically, and I take this the right way, who just doesn't care, who doesn't feel anything like.
Hi, it's the Herd. My staff said, hey, you got to take the league. The New York Giants, when I was there,
Nice. Which is like medieval time. Nice.
home in the Keys, the year before I left the Cowboys, knowing that I was going to go back down to the Keys.
It's a great life.
Oh,
I follow
it's
you
fantastic.
I follow you on Twitter, and I see these gigantic fish.
Oh, yeah. I used to say my time at University of Miami, well, we lost 2 regular season games in 4 years, so it was fun. That was the most fun time of my life. But really, the most fun time of my life is right now, doing Fox NFL Sunday and living in the Florida Keys.
So when you watch these Cowboys and compare them to your Cowboys, what are the similarities? What are the differences?
I think they're very similar. Of course, Jason Garrett was a backup quarterback during those days. We had a quarterback that was conservative, could throw the ball through the wall, was very accurate.
Troy Aikman.
Very, young, strong quarterback. We had a running back that was spectacular, ends up, setting an all-time record as far as rushing.
Emmitt Smith.
And we had a great offensive line. Now, what people don't realize, the difference in the teams, we led the league in defense 2 years in a row when we won the 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah, they weren't good when you got there.
Right.
You made a little trade.
Yeah, we made some trades, and we made 51 trades. And back then, people didn't trade. There was no fantasy football. There was a lot of teams didn't trade at all.
Jimmy, you were one of the first guys who did trade.
We made 51 trades in 5 years. That was more trades than the rest of the league put together.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, the entire league. The New York Giants, during that 5-year period, they made 1 trade in 5 years, and that was a trade with me. Oh, yeah. People didn't trade back then. But once fantasy football and all that started, it started coming along, all the fans said, well, let's trade this, let's trade that, let's do this. But there wasn't a lot of trading back then. But we had to trade to make our team better because when I got there, they were awful.
Yeah. Listen, you watch a lot of college football, so you watch Dak.
Yes.
And my interpretation was, Jimmy, he reminded me of a better Tebow. A lot of underneath throws.
Right.
Big, strong kid. Had a charisma about him. The players liked him. But he wasn't huge. I didn't see a lot of over-the-top stuff. So I just thought he was a better Tebow. I am shocked by this.
Yeah, Bradshaw and I watched him there at Mississippi State. You know, of course, we watch all the college
Yeah,
games
you do.
together. And, you know, you're right. You know, their style of offense was him running the football a lot.
A lot.
You know, and so we kind of pulled back from him for the simple reason we thought that maybe that's all he was. But he has turned out to, first of all, he's more accurate than I ever thought he was going to be. The other thing is, you know, talking to the Cowboy people, he is such a great person. He has outstanding character. He has outstanding work habits. You know, and so the intangibles that you don't see on TV when you're watching them play, you know, we didn't realize he was at the top of the scale as far as all the intangibles. And, you know, hey, that's a big part of being quarterback because you got to be a leader. You got to set the standard. You got to, you know, your work style, your work ethic, on and on. See, he's doing all the things off the field at a premium level. And that's one reason why he doesn't look like a rookie.
You know, I was saying this. If Seattle faced Dallas in the NFC Championship, it would be a third-round quarterback against a fourth-rounder.
Right.
And then if New England got to the AFC Championship, it would be a sixth-rounder against Derek Carr, who could be a second-rounder. You were always known as a personnel guy. I mean, that was – I mean, I've talked to other coaches. They say, oh, Jimmy's the personnel guy. Could I make the argument, though, that sometimes with quarterbacks, because so much is about non-football, there's sort of some luck involved with the quarterback position?
Well, you know, just like we talked about with Dak Prescott, you know, the intangibles there. You know, that's what has raised his level.
Now, Aikman was – I saw Aikman in college.
Oh, yeah. Well, Aikman, you know, of course, he had it all. You know, Troy had it all. There was, you know, although back then, people will look back then, there were a lot of people, even some scouts on my staff said, hey, you got to take Tony Mandridge.
Well, what was their knock on Aikman?
Well, he wasn't first team all Pac-10. You know, Rodney Peete was the starting quarterback.
USC.
Yeah, USC. And so, actually, he was second team on all Pac-10. I mean, so it wasn't a, you know, luck.
Hey, a lot of people, myself included, I saw Ryan Leaf carry Washington State.
Right.
I saw Peyton Manning play live, and I'm like, he's too nervous. His feet are ridiculous.
I mean, he's not as big. Is he as athletic as Ryan Leaf? You know? So there's some debate there. But again, you know, this is why you can't, you know, really watch on TV and say that guy's going to be great and that one's going to be horrible. You've got to know the intangibles, especially at the quarterback position. Who would have known Tom Brady would have the work ethic and the preparation and all the intangibles that he has?
He may be the best pre-snap. You know, he's number one in the NFL again against the blitz this year.
You know, of course, you know, Bill Belichick and I are really close. Bill talks about, you know, how Tom has studied all the tapes before he comes in on Tuesday. You know, he's already studied all the tapes of the upcoming opponent. You know, so he's preparing. I mean, he's preparing himself not only physically but mentally more now than what he did when he was a young quarterback. And that's why he stayed at the top of his game.
So when you look, so we had this debate yesterday. I think that anything in life, you need help. I said with Kirk Cousins, I think Jay Gruden's done a really nice job.
Great job.
I really do. And I think their concepts, he's got, Jordan Reed's been a terrific tight end. And I watch Washington and I say to myself, I don't know if I still love Kirk Cousins, but I love him with Jay Gruden.
Right.
For instance, Tannehill. Now, I like him with Adam Gase.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like him before Adam Gase. So, I mean, let's just talk Cousins and Tannehill. They look kind of similar, but they're getting better. I mean, who do you like more?
I may disagree with you there.
Okay, who do you like?
I think Tannehill is a much better athlete.
Okay.
I think you hit on something good there, though, is the style of play. You know, Jay Gruden's done such a good job with Kirk Cousins because of their style of offense. Bill Belichick's done a great job with Tom Brady because of their style of offense. You put those two quarterbacks, neither one of those two quarterbacks are as athletic as Tannehill. You know, they're not as athletic as a Russell Wilson. They're not as athletic as a Dak Prescott. So you put those quarterbacks in a different style of offense, they may not be quite as productive.
Right.
You know, but the coaches have done a great job of fitting their style to that quarterback, or at least finding a quarterback that fits what they want to do. And so a lot of this, when picking these quarterbacks, like I said, it's the intangibles that is so paramount in picking a quarterback, more so than a defensive lineman, a wide receiver. How big are they? How strong are they? How fast are they? Can they make the plays? But you can probably get away with a little bit less on the intangibles. But the intangibles for a quarterback, they've got to be at the top.
Some guys just don't want to get hit playing quarterback.
Some people don't work very hard. Some people will not prepare themselves the way they need to prepare. They may not study the tapes. They may not physically prepare themselves. Look at a Jamarcus Russell. Remember everybody thought he was going to be a big, strong quarterback and throw it all over the place, But he was a bust. He was horrible because the intangibles were horrible.
Yeah.
But, and so the intangibles may not be quite as strong with other positions. But at quarterback, you've got to get the right guy. Now, once you get the right guy, the style of play has got to fit him, and that's what they've done great. Now, as far as the coaching part, I think Adam Gase, you hit on another thing. I think he's done a great job of raising the level of play of Tannehill. Because Tannehill was a wide receiver for a while, there in college.
Yeah.
He's just now learning how to play the position, and he's got as good a quarterback coach as a head coach as there is in the league right now.
Jimmy Johnson joining us, couple of Super Bowls national champ. He's going to talk the games, and he's going to talk Charlie Strong. Before that, though, I just want you to educate our audience because this fascinates me to no end. You were a personnel guy, and so you had the ability to go find a 3-star athlete, and he ended up being unbelievable. There's a multitude of stories. Right. So share with my audience a trick. So when you look at a corner,
right?
Give me the first 2 things you look for.
I want him to be a playmaker. We were looking for a cornerback. We had to improve our football team when I was with the Cowboys in our pass defense. Detroit beat us in the playoffs, and I went to the locker room. I said, we've got to improve, our pass defense. We got to get a pass rusher, and we got to get, some coverage people. And so that was one of my goals in the offseason as far as the draft. First of all, I made the trade as far as getting Charles Haley. That helped us with the pass rush tremendously.
Yeah.
And then in the draft, I looked around, and I got a strong safety, outside linebacker type of guy by the name of Darren Woodson.
Arizona State.
And so he helped us in our nickel and then eventually as our safety position. And then I looked at cornerbacks, and I looked at a bunch of them. I looked at Buckley, Troy Vincent, but then I picked a little cornerback from Texas A&M who had set a Texas A&M record for punt returns and interceptions. So he was a playmaker, Kevin Smith. He ends up being a pretty good cornerback for us. And then in the 12th round, we had 12 rounds back then, I got Larry Brown, who ends up being the MVP of the Super Bowl in the 12th round. And so, we were able to improve our pass defense with that pass rusher and some defensive backs.
Defensive linemen, by the way, have a history. Like for instance, would you take a defensive lineman who didn't have a great motor, could be great occasionally? Jadeveon Clowney always scared me. What was your theory on defensive linemen?
Well, first of all, just the ability, the size, the speed. Give you an example. Our scout came back from Emporia State. He said, well, there's a big guy that can run pretty good. The intangibles are not there. Well, but hey, he's not a quarterback, so maybe I'll go slide on the intangibles. They say he's really not real good in school. In fact, he won't even go to class.
Oh.
And I said, well, let me check him out. And so I visited with him one thing or another, and he wasn't going to class because he didn't know the material, and he was embarrassed. He's a very, very sensitive individual. Very sensitive. And so, hey, I said, well, I'm going to take a shot on him because he is a big, strong guy and he can run. And here in the seventh round, by the way, I'm going to take Leon Lett.
Oh, God.
And so Leon, we pick up Leon, and he ends up being a great guy and a great player and really had no problems with him, for the simple reason he wasn't going to classes, and the coaches were, he was embarrassed, and the coaches didn't recommend him because he didn't go to class. And so you got to check out the details. So I kind of bypassed some of the intangibles because he had the ability to be a great player.
Good stuff. Thoughts on Thanksgiving Day games, including Redskins and Dallas, Vikings, Lions, Steelers, Colts, plus thoughts on Charlie Strong with Jimmy Johnson next in the Herd. Every family knows who the real hero of Thanksgiving is. Very interesting guy. He's a 70-year-old man. Here's what's amazing. He's in great shape. That Jimmy will, in off days, he will go, he loves to do this, he'll go on 20-mile walks, 3.5-hour walks. He'll just put a headset on and he'll just walk whatever city he's in regularly, multiple times, every day when he's on the road. 20-mile walks. They just look around and, he's just a very thought-provoking, he's thinking 1,000,000 miles an hour. People have no idea. When Jimmy Johnson first got to the Dallas Cowboys, now, if you're in your 20s, you don't even remember this. But the story, you always see these stories about Michael Jordan, and it's like, oh, it was just Michael came into the league and won titles. You forget the struggle Michael Jordan had. Michael Jordan came into this league and for 6 years got his arse beat by Boston and Detroit. And I mean beat up. And they were running through coaches, Stan Albrecht and Doug Collins, and he was fighting with teammates Orlando Woolridge. And Michael Jordan had a long slog before Phil Jackson came in and said, do you want to score 60 or do you want to win titles? And then he got Scottie Pippen and he got the right pieces. This idea that Michael Jordan just walked into this league and dominated it, it takes so long. It doesn't work that way. You got to be into the process. Michael Jordan was a process guy. He loved to practice. He loved to work at it. People forget Jimmy Johnson went to the Dallas Cowboys. They were horrible. They were the worst team in the league the first year. The first 3 to 4 years Jimmy was there, remember, Jerry Jones bought the team from Tom Landry. There was massive turmoil, massive controversy. Tom Landry was loved. I remember this story, beloved. Jerry Jones fired Landry, fired everybody. And Jimmy and Jerry didn't even see each other for years. They were on opposite sides of the building. Jimmy Johnson was doing what like 6 guys do now. He was coaching. He was doing personnel. He was lining up all the car deals. I mean, Jimmy Johnson, he only was in Dallas 5 years. He got burned out. I mean, he did everything. What Jimmy did in Dallas is what 6 guys do today. He was doing John Snyder in Seattle and Pete Carroll and was dealing with tickets. And Jimmy was doing it all because Jerry took these huge loans out and didn't really have the money. So Jerry's raising money over there and Jimmy's running the front office over there, running all the personnel and all the scouting. And you think, oh, Jimmy Johnson won titles here. People forget those first few years in Dallas. It was a slog for those guys. Michael Jordan's first 6 years. That's why I laughed today. The media doesn't give you a lot of context. That's what I've said about Peyton Manning. Go look at Peyton Manning's first 4 years. Go look at Eli Manning's first 7. There's no context with what Andrew Luck's going through. Andrew Luck comes into the league, Indianapolis, for the first 2 to 3 years. For the first year, it was the worst offensive line in the league. The second year, it was one of the worst. Third year, it didn't get much better. He's had no running game ever in Indianapolis. He's going to play another 10 years. He's going to win a Super Bowl or 2. He's going to end up making 14 Pro Bowls. And people are just beating him up. You look at LeBron now and you're like, oh, what a great life. You should have, the first 7 years LeBron's in Cleveland, he had no help. Larry Hughes, Mo Williams. He was winning 60 games with those guys, and people are outraged that he left Cleveland. They're like, of course he left Cleveland. 7 years in, the front office couldn't get him one All-Star. Then he goes to Miami, wins a couple. Then they get Kyrie Irving. And by the way, LeBron would not have gone back to Cleveland if not for Kyrie Irving. LeBron's like, okay, I'll go back now because I have another elite player. He wouldn't have gone back to Cleveland without Kyrie Irving. We're going to go back for Anthony Bennett. We're going to go back for Tristan Thompson. He went back because they had Kyrie Irving. They finally got one of their draft picks right, and he knew he could bring over another all-star like a Kevin Love. But you just forget. People just see outcomes. They don't understand. It's all about process. All these Jimmy Johnson, these Terry Bradshaws. Go look at Troy Aikman's college and early NFL career. It's just a beating. Just a beating to get there. You know, whenever I see these people protesting in New York, remember that what was that Wall Street thing, the 1%ers? We're 24 years old and we don't make any money. I didn't make any money until I was like 36. And that was good. I got a great job out of college. I still didn't make any money for 15 years. Everybody's looking for overnight success stories, man. They just, if they exist, I've never seen them. I mean, it is. I mean, Magic Johnson came into the NBA and inherited Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and I think like Jamal Wilkes. That is so rare. Dan Marino actually got to a Super Bowl really fast, then never got to one again. And, you know, he inherits Don Shula. That mostly doesn't happen. You mostly inherit Chuck Pagano, Mike Brown, NBA coach. They're not terrible, but you don't inherit Phil Jackson. That's not the way the game works. You inherit usually a terrible roster if you're a great player. Think what's funny about sports. Look at Derek Carr. Now, Derek Carr, look how good Derek Carr is. Derek Carr was 0-10 first 10 games in the league. He was 0-10, and now he's great. But I think a lot of people forget, you see these stars on TV, you forget the journey, how hard it is for people. I mean, most of our fathers, my dad was in the Army. He went through recessions. My dad had, I have 1,000 times the life of my dad. 1,000 times. My dad didn't make any money until he was like 55 years old, and even then he was a local optometrist. He invested in the stock market, did okay. It took my dad forever. I was able to make my dad's money at 29, 30, 31. My son will probably make, you know, every generation, as Warren Buffett says, has a better life than the previous generation. Don't listen to the media. My son's going to have a better life than me. I had a better life than my dad. My dad had a better life than his dad, who actually, I believe, committed suicide. So if you look at my family, every guy, every dad, every father's had a significantly better life, and my son has a significantly safer upbringing and less chaos than I did. So whenever I hear all these stories and negativity and all this cynicism, I'm like, everybody's got a process. It's getting easier, not harder.
The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Seriously.
It's time for The Lunch Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on a break!
With Nick Eatman, Brian Broaddus, Taylor Stern, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Wednesday, November 23rd, 2016, Season 12, Episode number 92. Welcome to another edition of The Break. I am Derek Eagleton. I'm joined by Nick Eatman, Brian Broaddus, and Taylor Stern. We're live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios, and we have some special guests in studio with us this morning. I'm very happy to have some of our friends from the UK Cowboys fan club. Some guys that we got to meet a couple of years ago when we went over to London for the Cowboys game in London. Jamie Smith and Lauren Draper-Wood. We appreciate you guys taking some time with us today. How's it going?
Back to London, England.
Thank you for having us on. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we love having you guys on, and appreciate you guys taking some time with us. It's been pretty interesting. I know at times we all have told stories about our experience in London.
Yeah.
And for all those listeners out there who may not have known the people that were behind that, like all of the craziness and the drinking and all that, these guys are responsible.
The pub experiences.
for all that stuff. Tell us, first of all, like, how excited are you guys to be in Texas, it's your first time in Texas, first time to experience the Cowboys up close and personal in the States. Talk to us about your experience.
Oh, it is insane. I don't think we appreciated, did we, quite the size and scale of things compared to back home. So we know that Texas does things bigger and better, but I think now we see for real, don't we?
I totally agree. I think you see it on TV. You know it's huge. Like I say, and like I said, everything is bigger, but being here, it was just breathtaking.
Yeah.
Did y'all go to the game?
We did, yeah.
You going to this one too? Tomorrow?
I'm not. I fly back tomorrow morning, back to the UK.
I won't be at the game. We're getting a taste of real American Thanksgiving tomorrow. So
Nice. Wow.
We'll be watching it over food, I think.
Yeah. Well, if you can stay awake after eating all the food, that's kind of how it goes. Tell me what's been your favorite part of it. I know you guys have done a tour of the stadium. You've got a chance to go to a couple shows. Obviously, you haven't done everything here at the Star yet. We're going to do a lot of that today. But just talk to me about what's been your favorite or most lasting experience so far.
Probably for the both of us, it was being on the field. So
Yeah.
you can tour
At AT&T Stadium.
Yeah, at AT&T. You can tour stadiums at home, but there's always a barrier. They don't let you anywhere near the field. So for us to be on the field, and then when Des scored at the weekend, we were like, oh my God, we were standing there just the other day. Cool. So that was insane.
Yeah, with it's been, you guys do such a great job and have such a great following over there, and and that's something that I think we all really appreciated when we went to the various shows that we did, and the turnout and the passion, and I'm always fascinated. It's like 3 a.m. and you guys are up watching games, and I'm not just saying watching Cowboy games. You guys watch like all the games. I mean, it's become such a passion. The Europeans have been known, especially the English have been known, great sports fans. But talk about the commitment and stuff that you guys have to stay up at 3 a.m. It just means so much to you guys, doesn't it?
It does. With how much the sport's growing and social media's taken over, it's harder now to kind of record the games and stay off social media, and it's
not know who's winning.
Yeah. And it's a lot better being sitting there and experiencing it live.
So ideally, what you're saying is you would like to watch the game like the next day and not know who wins, but
you have
if it's a night game,
you have no choice.
Do you guys like the noon game over there? When they play 12, that means it's 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
6.
Oh yeah. The early game. What you would call the early game is great for us. Yeah.
Yeah.
That helps a lot. I'm sure
it's noon for us, but
yeah.
Yeah, that helps a lot. So we got a lot of things we talk about here on our day before the game show. We'll let you guys kind of hang out. Feel free to chime in if there's an opinion, a hot opinion that you just got to throw out there. But, of course, you'll have to wrestle the microphone from Ryan because he gets going and he doesn't shut up.
Well, they have no problem doing that.
Right. So we're going to go ahead and get going. First thing we need to do is we need to talk about inactives. And I think we have a pretty clear-cut list this week of inactives. I'll roll it out for you guys. You guys tell me if you agree. Mark Sanchez, Darius Jackson, Mo Claiborne, Barry Church, Benson Mayowa, Mark Nazacha, and Emmett Cleary. You guys agree?
Yeah, I was wrong about Emmett Cleary last week. Emmett Cleary, and but they've been practicing with Chaz Green more. Has Chaz Green's come back and done some stuff, and I'm kind of getting the vibe he's practicing. But he practiced quite a bit last week, and they went with Emmett Cleary. And I'm wondering now if I'm going to be wrong every week about this, of putting Cleary up or Cleary down, is the fact that he could play tackle and guard. That because they're using a lot of heavy. They're using Joe Looney in these heavy packages that they're used because of the 13 personnel with not having the tight ends. So I'm wondering if it's like, well, if something happens to Joe Looney, are they going to be able to? Okay, who's going to play guard if something happens? Yeah. That's kind of But Emmett Cleary doesn't practice as much as Chaz Green does.
So let's say, for example, let's assume that Emmett Cleary is going to be active.
Yeah.
And let's assume that Chaz Green is also active.
Okay.
Are you saying that both of them could be active?
No. It's one or the other.
One or the other. Right. I agree.
I think we got this thing nailed. Right. I think we've got the pattern. The thing that it comes down to, the two guys is always going to be the defensive end or the offensive lineman. That's where I think this is always going to hinge for these guys, especially this week. But I've been hearing Chaz Green's been getting a lot of work, on the left and right side. But the fact that he doesn't play guard makes it, maybe that's because of Cleary can do that. They kind of think, well, he's that little bit extra in case something happens in their heavy package.
It will be interesting if Chaz should happen to be the one that is active, and then you sustain an injury at guard, and Looney has to now go in there. What do they do with that heavy package? They now steer away from that and just go 12. They'll never go 13. Just kind of stick with 12 personnel.
I think Chaz Green has the ability to be your extra tackle / tight end.
Yeah.
He'll come in and he'll be eligible and do some things. Maybe not the same way Looney does, but I think you'll still go that route. there. And I mean, if you lose a tackle, I still wonder about if Cleary is the guy that's active, and you lose a tackle. I still wonder if Zach Martin.
I think if they lost Tyron Smith in this game, I think that they would kick Doug Free over there. Believe it or not,
the left,
yeah, and
Martin to right,
and Martin right tackle, yeah. Or I mean, yeah, there's
Don't
a
do
lot.
that.
There's a lot of things going on.
Don't get hurt.
Yeah, the guy that I think the guy you do have to worry about, and knock on wood, because he's been able to make it through these games, has been Tyron Smith. He's the one that ails the most with the back and the neck and all that stuff, and
the hip flexor.
And the hip flexor, yeah. I mean, for a young guy, he's got a lot going on.
Yeah.
But you got to worry about that, I think, because play 8, all of a sudden something happens, and we're looking up and like, wait a minute, Tyron Smith's not in the game right now. What's the deal? And so, it's one of 3 things possibly.
All right, I got 2 questions for you guys that I'm going to roll out. One is about the Cowboys offense. One is about the Cowboys defense. And then I want to get to some keys for the game. I guess the first question is, I remember as we were getting ready for the Pittsburgh game, one of the things that I said was that I was really concerned about the fact that the Cowboys could get into a situation where it was a track meet. And I didn't know if I trusted yet that Dak was prepared and capable of being able to get a win in that kind of circumstance. Now, after the way they performed in Pittsburgh, where they did have to go back and forth there a little bit there in the towards the end of the game, do you guys have any more trust in the fact, or do you believe in the fact that if this game, playing against an offense that can score, if this game turns into a track meet, do you feel comfortable in the fact that Dak could lead them still to a win in that circumstance? Taylor.
Yeah, that Pittsburgh game, there were 7 lead changes, and it was kind of an odd situation because sometimes they were down, and then he would just have that quick score with the 50-yard touchdown or the Zeke 83-yard run. So it's kind of like he just has to find his open guys, and if they can get open. Now, I worry about Dez and Norman in this. I think it's going to be a bigger matchup than it was in that Week 2 game.
Yeah, he was 0 of 2 on targets and catches in that game. I don't.
You think he travels this game?
See, the short week would worry me there. I think the adjustment, if you want to see an adjustment, I think Sua Cravens. This is going to sound strange. I think Sua Cravens. I watched the Green Bay game. He was watching Aaron Rodgers. This might be an adjustment. Maybe it's not about Norman traveling, but an adjustment that you might notice during the game was, as well as Dak is running the football, scrambling and things like that, they were worried about Rodgers doing the same thing. I could see Sua Cravens, the rookie from USC, playing as that rover guy. That might be their adjustment, that they say, okay, we're not going to the spy technique where, okay, what's our big adjustment? It's not about okay, you go take because they've got to deal with all those receivers. They don't have to deal with Beasley and all those other guys. It might not be about the receivers. It might be about, we can't let Dak run on 3rd down. That's the problem that they're probably looking at.
If that happens, I think that's a huge advantage for the Cowboys. I think that would be a plus there because I don't think that's something that Dak has developed yet as his strong suit. He can run, but he doesn't choose to often. He will once he gets that down. I think he's going to be really, really good.
He doesn't rely on the run at all.
But if they're going to have a spy towards him, that's even better because that means Beasley and Witten and Terrence across the middle.
That's the thing that they're going to have to worry about. Dez is not their sole problem. The sole problem is, okay, how are you going to cover Witten? How are you going to cover Beasley? How are you going to match up?
Especially on 3rd down.
On 3rd down, yeah, that's going to be the issue right there.
Wasn't Jeff Swaim a huge part of that Week 2 game?
He was 2 for 2 on catches.
They had a big 4th down.
Yeah, the waggle play was huge on the
They used a lot of that in that game, and it seems like that hasn't really been a part of the offense as much here as the season continued. But they used a lot of that early in the season.
Yeah, they did, and it might not if you remember the 4th down play, the pressure was just huge coming off that side. And I think that when you talk about Ryan Kerrigan for them, he plays usually where Dak spins is to that right side. Ryan Kerrigan plays that defensive end over there. Ryan Kerrigan doesn't get fooled very often. He's not one of these guys that just traditionally just flies down inside and chases the ball. He's a wide player, up the field player, and then he realizes, he's always going to rush at proper depth, but he's a hard guy to fool over there. You might not see much of that.
Yeah. Right. Oh, I was just going to say Ryan Kerrigan being in there, but Doug Free. Is he going to match up more on Doug Free or Tyron Smith this game, since Tyron Smith is more?
Yeah, I think when you look at, they're gonna rotate the guy. I think Trent Murphy is another guy you have to watch out for them too. And to me, that's where their rotation of where they can do what they can do. They can hurt you. This is the one team that sacked Dallas 4 times. This is the team that had the best pass rush against Dallas. If you remember the Week 2 matchup, 4 sacks for the game. That Dallas hasn't given up any more than that in any other game. So the Washington can rush the passer. You have to be ready for that for sure.
All right, let's flip over to the other side of the ball. I personally believe that Jamison Crowder is going to be. He is the X factor of this offense. I think he's the guy that can really do some damage. He's probably the best right now statistically. I think I heard this yesterday. Statistically, he's performing the best at. As a slot wide receiver in the entire NFL. That all being said, looking at the Cowboys cornerback situation, who do you think is better to be matching up with him more regularly, Orlando Scandrick or Anthony Brown?
I like Brown in this case. I think, and mainly because I think that Brown has got the speed. I'm not saying Scandrick doesn't have it, but I don't think he's 100%. I think
he's compromised. Nick, you're absolutely right.
Brown is faster right now,
yeah.
And I think a little bit more athletic, a lot healthier, and he's the guy that you got to Okay, Scandrick. So that means you get Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah.
Not easy.
So
yeah,
better be ready to play.
Anthony Brown's tackling ability would be a benefit in that matchup because of the fact that you can just stop him and end it there. And his speed, his 40 time, I always forget it, but it was up there.
What'd you tell me, 4.29, Nick?
4.29.
Yeah, so he has that speed to catch up with him and then tackle him, his physical ability there.
If you remember the last matchup, I'm just checked the notes because I couldn't have the number in my head. 39 yards, 6.5 average for Crowder in that game. He led their team with 6 catches. But everybody else had huge plays. Reed had a 25. Vernon Davis had a 32. Jackson had a 28. Garcon had a 16. They had a 57 from Dotson. They were able to control.
He back? Dotson?
No, he's on IR.
Yeah.
But Crowder, they kept Crowder in check pretty much. He made a nice catch in the middle of. He's capable. There's no doubt about it.
And what I will say is, the one image that still sticks out in my mind from that game was him going downfield and having a 2-step. He had a 2-step lead on the guy that was defending him, and the ball just goes right over his head.
Yeah.
And to me, that would have easily have been a touchdown. He would walk right into
There's no
the end
question.
zone.
They use him like Cole Beasley. They will put him wide. They'll stack him. They'll bring him in motion. He's always going to be running across the field. You have to be alert for where he is on the field at all times.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I want to go through, and I want each one of you guys to give me a key, a key to this game. It can be offensive or defensive, but one thing that you think, if the Cowboys are going to win, this is something that they absolutely have to do, and they have to do it well. We all know they have to run the ball.
Right.
I'll get that one out of the way. Beyond that, what are the things that the Cowboys have to do? What's going to be the most important thing this week? Taylor, I'll again start with you.
Yeah, in that Week 2 matchup, we didn't have DeMarcus Lawrence. And I think
Cowboys set up deep.
Especially with their left tackle. I never know how to pronounce his name. It's
Flacco.
So I'm sorry.
Got that big arm. He uncorks one. End zone.
Beat up and didn't practice yesterday.
Sure.
So that's not a huge deal, but on a short week, you want those reps. So I think with DeMarcus Lawrence being back in there and that line grooving as much as it is, if they can stop Kirk Cousins before he gets the ball out of his hands, that will be a huge key, because then we won't have to do Jamison Crowder, but you can also stop him from getting to Rob Kelly. So I think also stopping this new fat Rob guy that they're loving over there. So it's all going to be about this defense really stepping up. And you're talking about the beat-up secondary, so.